we're doing to better our practice.
Okay, so I haven't talked about synthetic biology a little bit. Go into some examples of how it could be used in a human context. For example, making synthetic blood cells or tissue engineering, growing organs for people at a later date.
Okay.
It's not possible at the moment, but
well, that would be good.
do you have any concerns about it? No, if these things were made synthetically?
No, if it prolongs a person's life, I suppose, or their standard of living, then surely that's only a good thing. What do you say?
I would say so. Some people would disagree. A lot of people have concerns about dabbling in design and such.
But it's not design if it's necessity.
I like that.
Do you know, because I do think if a soldier steps on a landmine, and you could grow him back a leg, you would, wouldn't you?
I would, yes.
So if someone's pickled their liver and they want to start afresh, I think that's fair enough.
So you don't have any safety concerns about putting synthetically made organs or
I mean,
blood?
I suppose it's trial and error. I mean, if there were massive side effects, then you'd expect people to know about it beforehand, but they would, wouldn't they? So.
Yeah, if anything like that were to be implemented, there would be extensive clinical trials
that's
and
what I mean,
testing before it gets to clinical trials. It would be quite extensive in that way. So there are quite an array of stringent laws that are applied to this kind of science, especially when it includes vertebrate animals and animal testing and going into clinical trials. What are your views on this?
I don't agree with sort of rearing animals to test on. I know, but the problem is, the dilemma I have in my head is because I'm not really sure how else we're supposed to do it, but just because we're sort of the dominant species on Earth, they don't have a choice, and that's just not fair. I mean, I love the idea that you give your body up. Some people, scientists claim, we give their body up to science. I think that's brilliant. It's a choice. You know that once you've gone, give your body up, and scientists can faff around, test as much as they want on you. I know it's different because it's a dead body and you need living cells, and but I think it should be choice, and they haven't got a choice. I'm not saying animals think or have, I think they've got a soul, and so I think it's a bit much to rear them and make them disposable, and that when it goes wrong, it's called just off it goes, and we'll just get a new one in. I think that's really bad.
Okay.
I don't agree with that at all. But I have the dilemma whereby I go to better us as a race. How are we supposed to know? So it's
a difficult question.
It's like I want the end result and I want the end game, but I don't want to have to sacrifice all the living organisms for it. Okay.
Well, if we looked at possible alternatives to it, the other thing would be straight on to human testing, which I'm sure very few people would agree with. Would of course be illegal.
I don't have a problem with it if it was a choice whereby they gave their bodies to it.
But I think a lot of therapies would have to be tested in living.
That's what I mean. If you choose to be tested on, if you choose to, if you're passionate about your science and you don't know anything about it, or you feel that your standard of living could be bettered by helping out, so say, then you get ethically, you shouldn't be paid for it because you have, like, say, drug addicts that just want a fix, so they're going to take money off you for testing your drugs on them, so they can go and get their drugs. But do you know what I mean?
It's a complex ethical issue.
Then cause a very vicious circle. But if someone genuinely feels that they haven't an awful lot to live for some reason, then and they choose, and if they're of sound mind and body, then I don't see a problem with it.
Okay. Another alternative would be not to do the tests in the first place, not to use any of this knowledge.
But then I think our development in curing things, fixing things, finding solutions to things, oil slicks, etc., I think that's going to be limited once you put stops on that sort of testing.
Okay, so would you say that this sort of area of science is valuable? Do you consider it?
Oh God, yeah, absolutely, yeah, I do.
Okay.
But I'm struggling with finding a way around it whereby we don't have to.
What if we were able to engineer or create living tissues specifically for this, specifically for testing, let's say a drug, if we were able to create a synthetic liver or something like that?
If it functions exactly the same, and it might as well, if it's got the same properties.
It's an insanely complex idea.
Yeah, of course it is. If so, absolutely grow as many livers and see what you can do with them. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then if we could grow livers to test on them, we should be able to by then. Yeah.
Valid point.
So it's sort of, it's like the egg, what came first, the egg or the chicken? 'Cause then if you can grow them, why aren't you using them? Why would you grow them to test on? You should be growing them to replace. So then I think you're in a vicious circle, and I don't really know the answer.
Well, there's certain wisdom in admitting ignorance, and that's what we try to do. Do you think that this discussion and questions, do you feel you've learned something from it?
Oh, definitely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If not a small insight, I do feel like I've got a little bit more to go on.
It sparked a bit of curiosity.
Absolutely, yeah, I'd say so. And I would listen if there was more news articles about it, because I do tend to switch off when we see the same sort of political debates. You see the same politicians have been screwing taxman out of money, and you're a bit like, turn it off because I've had enough. I think I need a bit more. I need a bit more wider knowledge about the areas that I don't particularly study or have a passion for. I do think it should be more available to me to access quite easily.
Right, well, thanks for your time.
No problem.
If there's anything we can do to provide more information, please let us know.